So in today's video, we're going to take a look at this week's upcoming storm threat, as well as the overall weather pattern and our potential next threat coming down the pike. First, if you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button. Certainly appreciate it. So if you go back to Monday's video, we talked about two different scenarios with this upcoming storm. So it looks like it's going to be taking the flatter of the two. So we had one scenario, it was going to be this big amped up storm riding up the coast, and then the other potential avenue would be just have a weaker, the whole wave would just kind of stay weaker, be more progressive, and then slide off the southeast coast, not bring a major snowstorm to the northeast. And that's what it's looking like right now. I feel pretty confident about it at this point, but if you are in the south, some areas are going to get a pretty big snowstorm, some potential ice as well. So here's the GFS. This is going into Thursday. We see our storm start to gather moisture there in the northwestern Gulf of Mexico, and then where there's enough cold air there in northeast Texas, actually stretching back towards central Texas, you have a stripe of some pretty heavy snowfall, and that will continue as we go into Friday into southeastern Oklahoma, across Arkansas, maybe in parts of northwestern Mississippi, into Tennessee, and then some lighter snowfall amounts, as we go further east into the mid-Atlantic, parts of the Carolinas, and then southeastern Virginia, and then it just kind of slides off the coast there, not riding up. But a pretty big snowstorm for parts of the deep south. So let's actually take a look at that, the snowfall map here. And you can see, well, let me put this forward. So this is the European, and you see that pink there. So that is a pretty good swath of 6 to 10 inches really from, again, northeastern Texas across southeastern Oklahoma, and then into Arkansas, and then over towards northern Mississippi. So that's a pretty sizable snowstorm there. And then as we go further east into the Carolinas, upstate South Carolina, then North Carolina off to Virginia Beach, Richmond area, really just kind of a 1 to 3 inch snowfall, and a little bit of a refresher. Some of those areas got pretty significant snowfall a couple days ago. Now the other threat with this may be ice. So always a pretty fine line between freezing rain, sleet, and snow. But this is the GFS that just came out showing the threat of some icing parts of Texas. I mean, really. I don't think it's going to be a big deal, freezing rain, but the GFS is showing there could be some areas that we need to watch. Again, especially there's that fine line there, and sometimes you get stuck in that freezing rain and you think it's going to warm up, and it just kind of continues to accumulate. So we'll have to keep an eye on that one. Now, going further down the line here, let's actually pop back over to the European. So the next threat, so I think as we go into next week, we have another cold shot, and then we're going to see moderation. And then as we head towards like the 19th, I think the 19th to the 21st is going to be really the next window of opportunity here. So if we can get the European to cooperate, I'll show you that. Let's see. All right, here we go. There it is. So we have another storm really kind of forming in the same area, right around Texas, and then sliding to the northeast. Now this one, this is very far out, so we know how often that this will change, but I do think this is a legitimate time frame to watch out. But that's a pretty decent snowstorm there, portions of the mid-Atlantic, and maybe the northeast. We'll have to see how far north this next storm gets. Philadelphia, you're kind of on that northern fringe. New York, you're probably going to be a little bit too far north, but we'll see if there's any slightward movements with that. But targeting this next threat here, I think the 19th to the 21st is a pretty good window. So let's pop over to the GFS and I'll show you that. So there's our trough in the east. Now this is early next week, and then we see that moderation as we go to the middle and later part of next week. We see that ridging, which is the brighter colors there, that ridging kind of sliding across America, and that's going to bring some warmer temperatures, a little bit of a break from the colder weather, but then that ridge really builds out west, dumps that trough back into the east, and I think possibly on that leading edge of that trough coming through, a cold front most likely coming through, late next week, probably in the weekend. That could be there could be storm threat along that front, or once the cold air settles in, we could see a storm threat there. So I think that 19th to the 21st, but even really looking beyond that, anytime you have that ridge in the western part of the country there, dumping that cold air in, that's, you can have a storm threat really at any point, especially with that tropospheric, can't talk today, polar vortex sitting where it's sitting, much like 2013-14. Now we do lose our negative NAO, but 2013-14, very snowy for the eastern part of the country. We didn't need that negative NAO. We had the tropospheric polar vortex sitting on our side of the globe with a negative EPO. So that looks like the kind of pattern that we might be going into here as we go into the third and fourth week of January. So lots of wintry weather, still some threats coming down the pike, not over by a long shot. Let's get through this first one, and then we'll target that next threat and see what happens with that. But that's it for today. Thanks for watching.